Hi, I'm Marjorie Druker from Boston, Massachusetts, and today we're making cakes. What I'm normally known for is my soups, but when I come home from a long day at work, it's a really calming, wonderful thing to do to make a fresh cake. And then you can have it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and it's even a nice thing to bring to a nice neighbor that maybe just moved in. So today we are making a blueberry semolina cake, and we're adding a hint of Meyer lemon to it, which is a California, very deep and rich lemon. So to start off our cake, we're going to put together our dry ingredients. And we're going to start with all-purpose flour. And this is a really simple, easy cake. You'll see that it takes really nothing to put this recipe together. And then we're going to take our quarter cup measure, and we're going to add a quarter. So it's a cup and a quarter of flour. Then we're going to use something called semolina. And semolina is really normally a flour that's used in pasta making. But my mother-in-law used it a lot. She's Italian, and she did a lot of baking with it, and it gives it a very interesting texture. So I'm just going to take about a half a cup of semolina, and then we're going to add our leavening agents to this dry mix. And we're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and about a half a teaspoon of kosher salt. So there we have it, our dry ingredients. And we'll just take a little knife, and I'm just going to tap my little strainer, just like this. And what you get by taking this step is that you aerate the dry ingredients, and it gives a much lighter texture to your cake. So it's a really important step. And when you get down to the end, you can just kind of push it through. So these are our dry ingredients. Now we'll start working on our wet ingredients. So now we're going to mix our wet ingredients, and wet ingredients always need to be creamed. Now I'm going to take about 4 ounces of butter. This happens to be a really nice butter. This is an English butter. You can buy English, Danish, and Irish butters. And sometimes when I'm baking something special and I want it to be just that much more special, I'll use a different butter. To this, I'm going to add a cup and a half of granulated sugar. And I'll just blend them together. So now our butter and sugar are beautifully creamed, and they're getting ready for their next ingredient. So to this, we're going to add some Meyer lemon juice and some Meyer lemon zest. These lemons happen to be a little bit small, so if you really like a pumped up lemon flavor, then you can add 2. I'm sure it wouldn't hurt the recipe at all. So I'm just going to take my microplane. I'm just adding some lemon zest, and I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice. And these are really juicy. I let them stay out overnight, so my lemons are at room temperature, which means I'll get a lot more juiciness out of them, and they're not going to be cold and hard. Okay, and I have one little pit. So here's our lemon juice and rind, and I'm going to add it right into our mixing bowl. At this point, and this is a trick of mine, whenever I bake, I always add vanilla. Even if a recipe doesn't call for vanilla, I still always add vanilla, pure vanilla, because what it does, what salt is to savory food, vanilla is to sweet food. It wakes it up. It increases the flavor of anything you make. Now it's time to add 2 eggs. So I'm going to add 1 egg. Let it mix before we add our other egg. Add the other egg. And for good luck, sometimes I like a little extra, and I don't want the white, but I want the richness of a yolk. So I'll throw an extra yolk in there. And it looks like maybe it's going to curdle a little bit, but it's not. And I'm whipping it kind of quickly, but not too quickly. and I'm going to turn it off. At this point, I'm going to add a half a cup of light cream. If you didn't have light cream in the house, you could use a half a cup of sour cream. So now I have to use it kind of slowly because I don't want the cream splashing all over the place. So I have it mixing, and now I'm going to shut it off. So now everything's combined and we're ready to add our dry ingredients. Now, many times when you read recipes, it tells you to add dry ingredients in thirds. But recently I've become very friendly with a man who does a lot of baking. He's a professional baker. And he told me that you add the flour all at once, because when you add flour, the trick is less is more. You don't want to overbeat your batter. You want to keep it delicate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shut it off. So it's 3/4 of the way mixed. Now I'm going to add in 8 ounces of fresh blueberries. And it's really special if you can find these in the summer and they're local and they're wild. Maybe they come from Maine. So I've just added in blueberries. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shut it off. That's as much as you are going to mix this dough because we want it light and tender and we don't want it manhandled. Okay, so now we're going to prep the cake pan. That's as important as starting your car on a 20-degree morning. If you don't prep your pan, you're not going to get the results that you really want. So I am taking some pan spray, and I'm taking, this is about a 9-inch springform pan, and I'm spraying it very generously. And I'm going to take some sugar, and I'm going to knock it around so I get it all sugared. Many people like to grease and flour, but I like sugar. I like it sweet, so I always, grease and sugar. So now we're going to take a piece of parchment paper because when we remove the cake, we want it to easily glide out of the pan. I've taken a piece of parchment paper. I've measured the cake pan, took a pen, made the shape, cut it out, and this is what you get. I'll take this piece of parchment paper, I'll add it in. Now I need to re-grease that piece, and we're going to, again, sugar so that everything comes out beautifully and easily. And we are ready to go. So now I take my batter, and you saw that we stirred it very little. So at this point, I want to stir the rest by hand. And I want to be very gentle with the ingredients. I don't want to overmix. I just want to hand mix. Now I'll take this dough. This recipe can be doubled with great results as well. You don't even have to change the cooking temperature or the time, and it can be done in a large bundt pan if you're having a nice brunch at your house and you want to feed about 16 people. So now I'm just going to take my batter and spread it out. We're working in a 350-degree oven today, and this cake takes exactly 1 hour and 10 minutes. Okay, our cake is in. The last step I take before I put a cake in the oven is I always go like this. That kind of condenses so I don't have any air bubbles and that I won't have big holes in my cake, and she is ready for the oven. Okay, our blueberry with Meyer lemon semolina cake is out of the oven. It's slightly warm, which is nice, and I've just unlocked the springform pan. I'm going to take a cake plate, and I'm going to turn it over, and then we're going to lift this off. And remember that piece of parchment paper that we had? This is the parchment paper. And I'm going to take just a tiny bit of confectionery sugar. Just give it a little cuteness if it wasn't cute already. And then we're going to plate this up. This is a great cake to make all year long, but it's even especially fun when you make it during the 4th of July, and it's kind of like the blueberry holiday. So now we're going to cut a piece of this beautiful cake. And you'll see the inside from the semolina has this gorgeous yellowness. So we're going to put that down, and we're going to embellish it with a little bit of creme fraiche. And then we'll add a few more little blueberries on the side. And we're going to add a little of, I took some Meyer lemon rind and some clementine rind and candied it a little. We'll add a beautiful little sprig of some fresh mint. Company's coming. Blueberry Meyer lemon semolina cake.